The story begins not with a discovery, but with an absence, the kind that whispers from beneath the vines and rivers of Southeast Asia. At dawn, the mist rolls across the jungles of Thailand, Cambodia, and Indonesia, concealing the outlines of temples older than memory itself. Beneath the drone of cicadas lies a silence too deep for the modern world to explain. Science tells us that human history began only a few thousand years ago, that civilization rose in predictable stages, yet these lands hold ruins that laugh at such timelines. Ancient maps once marked this region as Suvarnabhumi, the land of gold. But as centuries passed, the ink faded, the kingdoms vanished, and even their names became myth. Stone carvings show merchants, astronomers, and kings who wielded knowledge now forgotten. Some say earthquakes buried them, others whisper that divine forces erased them for unlocking powers forbidden to humankind. Today, satellites reveal strange geometric patterns beneath jungles and seas, traces of lost cities science refuses to acknowledge. Archaeologists find artifacts that belong to no known culture, materials forged with techniques centuries ahead of their supposed time. Yet every explanation collapses under its own weight, leaving behind only questions. What if Southeast Asia was once the cradle of an unknown civilization? What if history has been rewritten, edited to hide what truly came before? As the jungle breathes over buried cities and rivers carry fragments of forgotten empires, one truth becomes impossible to ignore: the earth remembers what humanity has chosen to forget. This is not just a story of ruins and relics. It is the story of civilizations erased from existence, kingdoms that thrived in golden light, and then vanished into shadow, leaving behind a silence science still cannot explain. Long before borders and modern nations, the lands we now call Southeast Asia shimmered with kingdoms that the world has almost forgotten. Ancient sailors and traders from India and China spoke of a radiant realm they called Suvarnabhumi, the land of gold. They wrote of ports overflowing with spices, jewels, and treasures beyond imagination. But no one today can say exactly where that land was. Some claim it stretched across present-day Thailand, Malaysia, and Cambodia. Others believe it was never one place, but a network of powerful kingdoms connected by trade, faith, and something even more mysterious. Among these kingdoms were names that sound like echoes of dreams: Lankasuka, Funan, Srivijaya, Dvaravati. Each once ruled vast territories, commanded fleets, and built monuments that rivaled Egypt's splendor. Yet the strangest truth is how little remains of them. Where Rome left marble and Greece left philosophy, these empires left whispers, scattered inscriptions, broken idols, and fragments buried beneath roots and rivers. The jungle hides their bones, and the earth seems to guard their secrets. Historians tell us they rose through trade and fell through war, famine, or climate change. But the timing feels wrong. Many of these kingdoms vanished suddenly, with no evidence of battle or migration. Cities that thrived for centuries became ghostly overnight. Some scholars whisper of a synchronization, that several civilizations collapsed across Southeast Asia at the same moment, as if struck by a shared catastrophe. Ancient texts from China describe emissaries returning from glittering courts with gold and rare gems, only for those same lands to vanish decades later. Indian chronicles speak of kings who called the sun to rise twice, perhaps a poetic description of astronomical power or knowledge long lost. Local legends add another layer: tales of rulers who made pacts with sky gods, of entire cities swallowed by the sea for defying divine law. Science dismisses these as folklore. Yet every excavation reveals anomalies: tools crafted from unknown alloys, architecture that aligns perfectly with celestial constellations, and scripts that predate their supposed invention. It's as though someone edited the timeline, trimming out an entire era of progress. And still, the stories persist. In the villages near forgotten ruins, elders say the golden cities did not fall, they merely sank into the earth, waiting to rise again when the world remembers their names. So, what really happened to these radiant kingdoms? Were they erased by time, or hidden by design? The deeper we dig, the more it feels as if history itself has a missing chapter, one that science cannot read, but the soil still remembers. And somewhere within that buried truth lies the first clue to a civilization that should not have existed, yet somehow did. Flowing like a silver serpent through 6 nations, the Mekong River is more than just a body of water. It is a living archive, a pulse that has witnessed empires rise and disappear beneath its surface. Along its banks once flourished the great kingdoms of Funan, Chenla, and others whose names have been lost to time. Yet, for every ruin unearthed, there are 10 more swallowed by mud, hidden in the depths where the river refuses to reveal its secrets. Local fishermen tell stories of seeing stone steps beneath the water, stairways that lead nowhere. Sometimes, when the current slows, pillars shimmer beneath the surface, only to vanish again when approached. Archaeologists dismiss these as tricks of light, but the locals know better. They say the river remembers, it carries fragments of forgotten cities, washed away by floods the world never recorded. In recent decades, modern scans and sonar readings have detected geometric patterns on the riverbed, rectangular foundations, circular platforms, and what appears to be a colossal wall stretching for kilometers. No natural formation explains it. When divers attempt to investigate, visibility drops, compasses spin wildly, and cameras malfunction. It's as if the water itself protects what lies beneath. Ancient Khmer inscriptions refer to the Mekong as the mother that conceals, suggesting it played a sacred role, both a giver and taker of life. Some myths speak of gods who punished the arrogance of man by drowning entire cities beneath the flood, sealing their wisdom forever. Strangely, sediment analysis from river deltas reveals layers of abrupt, unnatural displacement, as though earthquakes or massive water surges struck repeatedly over millennia. Yet, geological records remain silent. Legends tell of Nagani, the serpent kings of the underworld, who once ruled vast empires before being cast into the river's depths. According to myth, they still guard the gateways to these sunken cities, appearing as great serpents of light when storms approach. Fishermen claim to have seen glowing orbs beneath the waves during thunder, moving against the current, tracing the outlines of structures too large to be boats. But beyond folklore, the scientific mysteries deepen. Certain artifacts found along the riverbanks defy dating, metallic objects fused into ancient stone, carbon readings that contradict their layer of burial. Some tools appear to have been forged with temperatures higher than early metallurgy could achieve. Others are coated with materials unknown to modern chemistry. Every test produces more confusion than clarity. What makes the Mekong so enigmatic is not only what it hides, but what it connects. It links sites thousands of kilometers apart, each with ruins that share identical alignments to the stars. How could ancient civilizations across vast distances have constructed their cities with such shared precision, unless they were part of something greater, an unseen network that once spanned all of Southeast Asia? As night falls over the river, it becomes easy to imagine its depths not as emptiness, but as memory, holding fragments of entire worlds now erased. The Mekong does not speak, yet its silence hums with presence. Scientists come and go, theories rise and fall, but the river remains, patient, secretive, eternal. And perhaps, when the world is ready, it will reveal what it has guarded for thousands of years, the truth about the vanished kingdoms that science still refuses to see. Hidden between the borders of present-day Thailand and Malaysia lies one of Southeast Asia's most haunting enigmas, the lost kingdom of Lankasuka. Its name drifts through ancient Chinese annals and Indian epics like a ghost, described as a radiant port of scholars, merchants, and mystics. Yet, no map marks its true location. For centuries, explorers and archaeologists have searched the coasts and river valleys where its capital was said to stand, but the land offers only fragments, shards of pottery, inscriptions in scripts no one can read, and temples reclaimed by the jungle as though swallowed by time itself. Chinese records from the Liang dynasty describe Lankasuka as a kingdom, where towers touched the clouds and the sea shone with gold. Indian sailors wrote of a city ruled by philosopher kings who blended Hindu and Buddhist wisdom, where traders from Arabia, Persia, and even Rome once gathered. Its rulers supposedly wielded not only wealth but knowledge that rivaled the scholars of Nalanda. Yet, despite all these detailed accounts, its ruins remain unconfirmed. It's as if Lankasuka existed, then chose to vanish, leaving behind only the memory of its brilliance. In the early 20th century, explorers claimed to have found remnants of ancient walls near Patani Bay, Thailand, resembling defensive structures described in old manuscripts. Excavations revealed intricate carvings showing celestial alignments and beings with elongated heads, features unlike any known Southeast Asian art. But just as the findings gained attention, funding was cut, and reports mysteriously disappeared from public archives. Today, only a few faded photographs remain, guarded by private collectors and local monks who say they're not meant for public eyes. Recent satellite imagery added a chilling layer to the mystery. Beneath coastal mangroves and shallow waters, patterns emerge, perfect rectangles and grid-like formations stretching for miles, resembling the foundations of a vast metropolis. When researchers proposed underwater surveys, local authorities denied permission, citing environmental protection. But many suspect something else, that these discoveries threaten to rewrite accepted history. Lankasuka's mythology speaks of a queen who defied the gods, building towers that reflected the heavens themselves. When she tried to reach the realm of the immortals, storms of fire and water were unleashed, sinking her empire overnight. Villagers along the coast still speak of nights when the sea glows faintly gold, and bells are heard beneath the waves, the ghostly echo of a kingdom refusing to be forgotten. For historians, Lankasuka represents a frustrating paradox. It exists vividly in records yet nowhere in the ground. For locals, it is not lost, merely hidden by divine will. And for those who've studied the patterns, the ruins, and the legends, an unsettling question lingers: what if Lankasuka wasn't destroyed by time, but by design? Could this forgotten realm have possessed knowledge, astronomical, technological, or spiritual, that threatened the order of the world? If so, perhaps its disappearance wasn't an accident, but an act of erasure. In the humid air of Southeast Asia, where myth and history intertwine, Lankasuka endures, not as stone or artifact, but as a challenge to our understanding of civilization itself. Its silence taunts us with the possibility that beneath our feet lie the remains of a city that once outshone all others, erased not by centuries, but by secrets humanity still isn't ready to uncover. Long before the rise of Angkor or Srivijaya, there was Funan, a maritime empire so powerful that ancient Chinese envoys described it as a kingdom of 1,000 ships. Its ports stretched across the Gulf of Thailand and the Mekong Delta, its canals rivaling those of Mesopotamia, its rulers commanding both ocean and land. Funan was the beating heart of Southeast Asia's first true civilization, and yet, within a generation, it vanished as though the earth had swallowed it whole. According to Chinese chronicles, Funan was founded by an Indian Brahmin who married a serpent princess, a myth that scholars dismiss as symbolic. But what if it wasn't? What if that story hinted at something deeper, an origin entwined with the river gods and powers beyond understanding? The kingdom's prosperity was legendary. Its engineers mastered irrigation and hydrology centuries ahead of their neighbors, turning marshland into fertile farmland. Traders came from as far as Rome and Persia, bringing coins, glass, and bronze mirrors that archaeologists still unearth today. Meanwhile, divers off the coast of Sumatra have reported glimpses of stone gateways beneath the ocean floor, etched with spiral motifs identical to those found in mainland temples. Some claim to have seen moving lights within the depths, pulses of blue and gold that respond to their presence, as if aware. Oceanographers dismiss this as bioluminescence. But the divers insist it was something else, something intelligent. In the highlands of Kalimantan, monks from an isolated monastery speak of the sleeping city, said to awaken once every 1,000 years when the stars align with the mountains. They believe that beneath their feet lies an entire metropolis preserved in crystal chambers, waiting for the world to remember it. Scientists scoff, calling it superstition. Yet, local tribes speak with reverence and fear. They say the hidden empire watches, not as a relic of the past, but as a guardian of something mankind once possessed and then lost. If even a fraction of these accounts hold truth, then perhaps not all the vanished kingdoms were destroyed. Perhaps one remains, concealed by nature, protected by design, and waiting for the moment when humanity dares to seek it again. And when that moment comes, what will rise from beneath the earth may not just rewrite history, it may challenge the very idea of what civilization truly means. Funan's rulers were said to communicate with the heavens, performing rituals that manipulated the balance of nature. Then, without warning, everything ended. Around the 6th century, records fall silent. Cities were abandoned. Irrigation channels clogged. Temples crumbled. There is no evidence of invasion, no sign of plague or mass migration. It was as if an invisible hand had erased Funan from the world. Modern excavations at Oceo, believed to be Funan's capital, reveal collapsed structures beneath layers of silt and ash, as if the region had been struck by a sudden flood or seismic upheaval. Yet geological surveys show no matching disaster. Local legends speak of a curse. They say the serpent princess who founded Funan demanded that her descendants honor the pact between humans and the gods of the underworld. When a later king broke that promise, by digging deeper canals and draining sacred waters, the earth retaliated. Storms rose, rivers reversed their flow, and the land drowned in its own abundance. The curse, they say, was not death, but disappearance. Some researchers suspect Funan's end was self-inflicted. Perhaps its rulers tampered with forces, astronomical or geological, they barely understood. Others believe the collapse marked the end of a technological golden age too advanced for its time. Magnetic anomalies near ancient sites and metallic remnants of unknown origin fuel the notion that Funan's wisdom was not entirely human. Whether divine punishment, environmental collapse, or deliberate erasure, the result was the same, a thriving empire reduced to myth. Funan's name survived only in distant chronicles, its language and gods forgotten. But even in ruin, its influence lingered like a ghost, shaping the civilizations that rose after it. And somewhere, beneath the swamps and deltas, perhaps the foundations of that lost city still sleep, waiting for the day when the curse is broken, and Funan rises again from the mud of time. Across the scattered islands of Indonesia, Malaysia, and Cambodia lie stones that defy explanation, colossal monoliths carved with precision far beyond the means of their supposed creators. Some stand isolated on mountaintops, others lie half-buried in jungles where no known civilization ever settled. They are older than any recorded kingdom in the region, and yet their design seems purposeful, deliberate alignments pointing to the stars, solstices, and unseen constellations. These are not random rocks, but relics of an intelligence science cannot trace. In Sulawesi, archaeologists discovered megalithic figures with elongated faces and folded arms, dating back thousands of years before known Southeast Asian societies. Their purpose remains a mystery, tomb guardians, gods, or something else entirely. Nearby, massive stone discs and altars appear scattered like fallen chess pieces of a forgotten game. Carbon dating provides conflicting results, some as young as 1,500 years old, others impossibly ancient, older than the Egyptian pyramids. Scientists dismiss the older readings as contamination, yet the uncertainty lingers like a whisper that history's timeline has been tampered with. Further west, in Sumatra and Java, stand immense boulders bearing inscriptions in no known language. At Gunung Padang, a pyramid-like structure of volcanic stone rises from the hills, once dismissed as natural, now proven to have man-made chambers beneath. Core samples suggest multiple layers of construction, with the oldest potentially dating back over 10,000 years. If true, it would predate the earliest civilizations of Mesopotamia, a fact mainstream archaeology hesitates to acknowledge. In Malaysia, ancient dolmens, upright stones capped by flat slabs, form geometric patterns matching constellations from around 12,000 BCE. No one can explain who built them or why their alignments mirror those found in Cambodia's Angkor Wat, thousands of kilometers away. Could there have been a unified culture long before recorded history, one erased by catastrophe? Local legends offer eerie clues. Elders speak of the Builders of Dawn, a race of giants who shaped the earth when the sky was closer and the air was thick with fire. When they defied the gods, thunder split their towers and scattered their stones. Some even say the monoliths bleed red dust when struck, as if remembering the destruction that ended their age. Modern researchers attempting to study these sites often face uncanny setbacks, lost data, damaged equipment, sudden storms. One geologist described the feeling as digging into something that doesn't want to be uncovered. Perhaps it's superstition. Or perhaps, as local shamans claim, the stones themselves are alive, guardians of knowledge too ancient for modern minds. What connects these sites is not just their mystery, but their silence. No records, no known creators, no explanation. And yet, from the peaks of Sulawesi to the jungles of Sumatra, the stones form a silent network, a shattered map of a civilization that once spanned the region. A civilization that may have fallen, not from war or time, but from something far greater, something that science dares not name. There are moments when history feels less like a record and more like a cover story, a carefully edited narrative designed to protect us from truths we're not meant to know. In the case of Southeast Asia's vanished kingdoms, that feeling grows stronger with every anomaly discovered. Beneath the ruins and monoliths lies evidence that refuses to fit into accepted chronology. Artifacts too advanced, inscriptions too old, and technologies that shouldn't exist in their assigned era. Together, they suggest a forbidden timeline, one that science acknowledges only in whispers, and history refuses to record. Some independent researchers claim the region was once home to a civilization older than Sumer and Egypt combined. They point to submerged ruins off the coasts of Indonesia and Cambodia, vast stone platforms now buried beneath coral reefs. If sea levels rose at the end of the last ice age, then those structures must predate 10,000 BCE. Yet, official archaeology insists that organized societies didn't exist then. The contradiction is staggering. If these underwater formations were man-made, the entire timeline of human civilization collapses. One controversial researcher, Dr. Chandra Wirawan, once proposed that Southeast Asia was the true cradle of humanity's first high culture. He cited genetic studies linking ancient island populations to distant peoples in Africa and the Middle East, implying prehistoric migrations far earlier than accepted models allow. Shortly after presenting his paper, his work was dismissed as pseudoscience. Funding vanished, and his research center was quietly shut down. Some of his manuscripts later resurfaced online, filled with maps showing trade routes between Sunda, Egypt, and even South America. If fabricated, they were impressive. If real, they were revolutionary. Then there are the objects themselves, metallic fragments recovered from deep strata, fused with volcanic rock and carbon dated to over 20,000 years. A discovery near Flores revealed a carved obsidian sphere with mathematical patterns resembling binary code. Some researchers believe these kingdoms guarded ancient wisdom, maps of ley lines, blueprints of cosmic energy, or even relics tied to lost human epochs. If that is true, then the disappearance of these civilizations might not have been a tragedy, but a choice. A retreat, to preserve something too powerful or sacred for an age not yet ready to wield it. Yet, even as modern technology digs deeper into the earth and sea, the heart of the mystery remains untouched. The satellite scans, the sonar readings, the DNA studies, all of them circle around an invisible truth, as if something refuses to be revealed. It's as though history itself has drawn a curtain. And so, the legend of Southeast Asia's vanished kingdoms endures, not as forgotten dust, but as an echo that refuses to fade. Whether they were destroyed, ascended, or simply hidden away, they remind us that civilization is fragile, memory is selective, and the earth keeps its secrets well. Until the day the forests part and the seas fall silent, the mystery will remain, ancient, patient, and alive beneath our feet, waiting for the right moment to be remembered again. Scientists called it coincidence. Others called it evidence of intelligence predating modern humanity. The deeper one digs, the louder the inconsistencies grow. Whistleblowers from within regional universities have spoken, anonymously, of directives to suppress non-conforming data. They claim artifacts that could rewrite human history have been quietly removed from public archives and locked away. A few even suggest international involvement, hinting that certain institutions prefer the timeline to remain unchallenged. After all, to accept that an advanced civilization once flourished in Southeast Asia would dismantle centuries of academic certainty. But myths remember what science forgets. From the Philippines to Myanmar, ancient songs speak of the first builders, a race who tamed the storms and spoke with the stars. Their downfall, the legends say, came not from invasion but from arrogance. They reached too far into the secrets of creation, and the gods reset the world. Perhaps these myths aren't fantasy, but fragmented memory, echoes of a past erased for a reason. The forbidden timelines aren't just an alternative history, they may be the real one. And if so, everything we know about human civilization, its origin, its progress, and its destiny, may be nothing more than a rewritten script. When historians lay out the timelines of Southeast Asia's ancient civilizations, a chilling pattern begins to emerge, one that defies logic, yet repeats with mathematical precision. Lankasuka, Funan, Srivijaya, Dvaravati, all rose suddenly to great power, all vanished without trace, and all did so in intervals eerily synchronized across centuries. It's as if an unseen rhythm governed their birth and destruction, a pulse echoing through time. Every time humanity built too high, too fast, the cycle reset. At first, scholars blamed the obvious: floods, volcanic eruptions, invasions, and trade collapses. But the data refuses to fit. Geological evidence shows no single cataclysm linking these disappearances, and yet, each empire's fall aligns almost perfectly with periods of global magnetic disturbances, massive solar events, and abrupt climate reversals. The suggestion is subtle but unnerving, that these civilizations were reacting not to local tragedy, but to planetary forces beyond their control. Recent satellite studies have uncovered an even stranger clue. Many of the vanished cities, from Funan's canals to Srivijaya's temples, share near-identical geometric alignments. They mirror celestial maps not of their own sky, but of the heavens thousands of years earlier. The implication? These kingdoms were built upon ancient templates, following instructions or traditions inherited from a civilization long forgotten. The more one compares their ruins, the clearer it becomes: the same architectural fingerprint runs through all of them. In Cambodia's highlands, a group of geophysicists discovered buried stone corridors linking multiple sites, a kind of prehistoric network that shouldn't exist. The structures are separated by mountains and rivers, yet oriented along the same precise longitudinal lines. Local myths claim they were once pathways of light, connecting temples that could speak to the stars. Were these symbolic, or did ancient builders truly harness some forgotten science of energy, astronomy, or magnetism? Even more unsettling is how the collapse of each kingdom coincides with the rise of another nearby, as if knowledge were being transferred, preserved, and reactivated in cycles. Funan's fall gave rise to Chenla. Chenla's ruin birthed Angkor. Angkor's silence was followed by Ayutthaya. Each kingdom inherited fragments of the last, yet none ever surpassed its predecessor's mastery. It's as though humanity was trying, and failing, to remember something it once knew. Some theorists suggest that this pattern mirrors a hidden law, a kind of historical gravity. Civilizations reach a point of enlightenment, touch a forbidden threshold, and are then reset by nature or by something greater. Mythologies across Southeast Asia describe it differently: divine punishment, sacred renewal, or the turning of the wheel. But the outcome is always the same: light rises, then fades, leaving only ruins and legend. The vanishing pattern is not chaos, it is order. A silent rhythm beneath history's noise. And if the cycle continues, as it always has, then perhaps we are closer to its next reset than we realize, for once again, humanity is building towers that touch the heavens. And history has shown, time and time again, that the earth always remembers when it's time to begin again. Deep within the mist-covered rainforests of Borneo and beneath the restless seas of Sumatra, whispers persist of a kingdom that never truly died, a civilization that still breathes in silence, hidden from modern eyes. Explorers who venture too far into these jungles tell stories of stone towers swallowed by vines, of stairways leading into the earth, and of symbols glowing faintly on ancient walls during storms. To most, they sound like myths. But to those who have seen the evidence, they hint at something extraordinary, that one of the vanished empires of Southeast Asia may have survived, biding its time. In 2019, satellite scans over Borneo revealed a vast rectangular formation buried beneath dense vegetation, too symmetrical to be natural. The patterns resembled the city grids described in old Chinese records of Lankasuka and Srivijaya. Teams prepared to excavate, but before work began, the region was abruptly declared a protected ecological zone, sealed off without explanation. Locals who live near the perimeter say that government drones patrol the skies at night, and that strange humming sounds echo through the forest just before heavy rainfall. Meanwhile, divers off the coast of Sumatra have reported glimpses of stone gateways beneath the ocean floor, etched with spiral motifs identical to those found in mainland temples. Some claim to have seen moving lights within the depths, pulses of blue and gold that respond to their presence, as if aware. Oceanographers dismiss this as bioluminescence. But the divers insist it was something else, something intelligent. In the highlands of Kalimantan, monks from an isolated monastery speak of the sleeping city, said to awaken once every 1,000 years when the stars align with the mountains. They believe that beneath their feet lies an entire metropolis preserved in crystal chambers, waiting for the world to remember it. Scientists scoff, calling it superstition. Yet, local tribes speak with reverence and fear. They say the hidden empire watches, not as a relic of the past, but as a guardian of something mankind once possessed and then lost. If even a fraction of these accounts hold truth, then perhaps not all the vanished kingdoms were destroyed. Perhaps one remains, concealed by nature, protected by design, and waiting for the moment when humanity dares to seek it again. And when that moment comes, what will rise from beneath the earth may not just rewrite history, it may challenge the very idea of what civilization truly means. As we stand at the edge of history and myth, gazing into the fog of Southeast Asia's vanished kingdoms, one thing becomes clear: erasure does not mean extinction. The stories of Srivijaya, Lankasuka, and the countless unnamed empires swallowed by time whisper through the soil, the ocean, and the hearts of those who still feel their presence. Their ruins, half buried in the jungle, are not silent, they hum with memory. Each stone, each carving, is a fragment of an older language, one that science struggles to translate, but the human spirit instinctively understands. These lost civilizations force us to question how much we truly know about our own origins. How did empires that once commanded trade routes and celestial knowledge vanish so completely? Why do so many of their technologies, from precision architecture to advanced metallurgy, appear out of place in their supposed timeline? And why does every attempt to uncover them seem to meet with inexplicable interference, government restrictions, vanished expeditions, or sudden natural disasters? Perhaps the real mystery lies not in what they built, but in what they protected. Some researchers believe these kingdoms guarded ancient wisdom, maps of ley lines, blueprints of cosmic energy, or even relics tied to lost human epochs. If that is true, then the disappearance of these civilizations might not have been a tragedy, but a choice. A retreat, to preserve something too powerful or sacred for an age not yet ready to wield it. Yet, even as modern technology digs deeper into the earth and sea, the heart of the mystery remains untouched. The satellite scans, the sonar readings, the DNA studies, all of them circle around an invisible truth, as if something refuses to be revealed. It's as though history itself has drawn a curtain. And so, the legend of Southeast Asia's vanished kingdoms endures, not as forgotten dust, but as an echo that refuses to fade. Whether they were destroyed, ascended, or simply hidden away, they remind us that civilization is fragile, memory is selective, and the earth keeps its secrets well. Until the day the forests part and the seas fall silent, the mystery will remain, ancient, patient, and alive beneath our feet, waiting for the right moment to be remembered again.